Greetings all, it's Chuke here from Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Well, I have really enjoyed this series about bear attacks and bear defense, and I wanted to ask my buddy some questions about what he used. Now, this is interesting. He works for an oil field company, but he acts as a bear guard. Sometimes they have fancy people coming out to lodges to fly fish. Most of the time he's with biologists and scientists, and he is guarding them while they are out in very remote areas that the companies are interested in staying at lodges doing studies. So that's what he does in the summertime. He gets paid to be an actual bear guard. That's what he told me the title of his job was. So I was really interested, and I asked him what he uses typically to ward off bears. Now, he hasn't had to have any fatal encounters that I know about, and a lot of the stuff made sense. I could have kind of guessed what he was using, but I did get some surprises. So let's go through. I have 6 slides that he sent me. These are the main things he uses. He was going to bring them over for me to go hands-on. We'll do that in another video, but the first one, I've heard of this. This is like a non-lethal 12 gauge round, combined tactical system super sock beanbag round, 12 gauge Kevlar yellow box of 5. So this is a non-lethal 12 gauge beanbag that they would just pelt the bears with, and you'd think that the wrong bear would get really angry at that, but I can see this work, and I have heard of biologists and wildlife troopers using these things in town sometimes to try to get bears to go away. So many times he is on the Alaska Peninsula, places like that, where there are just world-class brown bears. It's the same as a grizzly bear. Genetically, they can interbreed, but they have slightly different variations of head size. And biologists like to argue sometimes that they are the same species. Sometimes they say that they're not, but it's pretty interesting. But if it's coastal, we call them brown bear. If it's interior, we call it a grizzly bear, or grizz, as people in Wyoming and Montana like to call them. Next was not a big surprise to me. This is the Black Magic slugs. Now, as I talked about last week, they have a variety now, but Black Magic by Brenneke is by far the universal bear slug protection 12 gauge used up here. Now, somebody mentioned that a lot of times if you soak your 12 gauge slugs or shells in general in water, they will not fire. It happened to Chuck once. It's just interesting because I must have had wax seal, because when I went duck hunting several times years ago, I was literally wading in a swamp with my shotgun, getting soaked and full of water, and all my shells fired. I didn't have any problems. But that is something that is a concern, and I've gotten questions about that. Sometimes people put some lacquer over there just to make sure they're water sealed, or some wax just to make sure they're fully sealed. So I get that question, but Brenneke Black Magic Magnums, there's several different offerings now, but you cannot go wrong with these. I think they're the top 12 gauge slug for bear protection personally. So that's what I use. And then he's got some more non-lethal. So he's got light field 12 gauge extended range rubber slug ammunition, light field 12 gauge mid-range rubber slug ammunition, and light field 12 gauge Nova Blank non-projectile distraction round ammunition. Now, this I knew about. I wasn't too familiar with the rubber slugs, and like sometimes riot police will use that, but I have heard, the troopers or police will use that against bears when they're trying to scare them off. But these other things, the blank non-projectile distraction round, in Kodiak, we call these poppers. So these are popular in Kodiak, and of course Kodiak has world class, the largest brown bears in the world. Some say just monster, 1,000-pound plus brown bears, and coincidentally I did that video on the guy that killed the brown bear that was just about 1,000 pounds, barely under 1,000 pounds. They said they weighed him like 900 something. But anyways, the one 12-gauge slug went up through the bear's jaw and just killed it instantly. But these things are called poppers. I call them poppers, but they're the blank non-projectile rounds where they just shoot out and kind of explode. It's almost like a flashbang grenade where it just makes a very loud explosion sound. And a lot of times the big bears don't like those loud sounds next to them, and they will take off. It doesn't always work, but I would say most of the time it works. Now this one I had not heard until Sean told me about it, and I think it's great. And it's interesting because bear spray is on his list, as we will see, but this works better than bear spray according to Sean, and it is an air horn. So he's got the Super Blast Marine Sport horn. So it's an air horn, clacks on very loud, and this is what he uses the most. So surprisingly, he doesn't have to fire off the shotgun, deploy bear spray. 9 times out of 10, a big brown bear is around. It shows some interest in the team he's guarding, and he will blast an air horn. Bears have very sensitive hearing. You know, they can hear for miles. They don't like that blast, and they typically take off. I actually want to get one of these because I think it's a better deterrent than bear spray. Now, of course, if a bear's charging you and you blast a air horn, I would rather have a firearm because, as we know, from all the other videos I've done, the bear spray does not work as good as firearms, and they can run through a cloud of sound or spray or anything, but not a hail of lead. So that was the last one, or actually the last one is just he's got pepper spray, bear deterrent. So I'm not sure what brand that is. UDAP Pepper Power is what he's using, and actually that's the same brand I have here. So I'm not anti-bear spray. I will take this, and as Chuck from Alaska Ballistics said, he always has bear spray and like 3 firearms on him. It's always good to have both because sometimes this will work. I always tell the story how my uncle sprayed this at a black bear and it just took off and left. It was slowly walking towards him on a trail, not charging, but that's what happened. Now, as for his firearms, he's not talking about any fancy 10mm pistols or anything, since he's only doing bear defense and, weight isn't an option. He's hanging around the lodge or wherever the scientists are at. He carries a Remington 870 tactical 12-gauge 18.5-inch black synthetic stock. So I love Mossbergs and I love Remington 870s, Mossberg 500s. It's hard for me to choose between the two of them. I like them both about the same. But what is funny, his personal shotgun just happens to be the exact same shotgun that I have, which is the Benelli M4. So he's got one of these too, when he's not on the job and he just wants to have some bear defense on his own, he's got one of these. This is the top bear shotgun in my eyes. I mean, there's some Berettas that I think are comparable, but this is a semi-auto 12-gauge shotgun. We haven't got the you have to change a few things, but you can increase the capacity. Right now, I think it's 5 or 6 plus 1, but it is a great option, and you can ghost feed it to make it 7 or 8 rounds, which he does every time. So I think this is the top bear defense, and of course with the Brennecke Black Magic slugs. So let me know what you guys think. I thought it was interesting about the air horn, but everybody stay safe out there, and this kind of knowledge is great. I love how people have been sharing it, and I'll keep the videos up. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.
My name is Chuke. I like to trade my guns just for fun, but now I have none. Oh, look, get shot by a bear, but I don't care. I got a 10mm. Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Watch you all die every time.